my name is Linda Tyler. I'm born in Chattanooga, North Carolina. My mom moved here when my dad passed away. So my brother got her here, and then we lived in Laughlin at that time behind him in his house. And when he built the front house, then we moved to Davenport. So I lived in Davenport all them years.
Okay.
I'm Sharon Knowles, and I'm a homegrown Davenport girl. Love it. It's my favorite place in the world. And my dad and mom moved here. Well, my mama was grown in Davenport, so my grandma had a little store, Grandma Hornsby, who came from Vienna, Austria. And my mom always had stores and stuff, but my daddy came here for work as a well, he eventually became a carpenter, but he worked at Holly Hill, which we all know many of our daddies worked there. And my mom had stores, and she and my Aunt Helen had stores, so she's always had that people thing going on for her. And like I said, my grandmother moved here from Vienna, then they landed up in, I couldn't think of, Holopaw first, and then they came to Davenport, and I have, several aunts and uncles from my mama's family, and none of them are left now, but what a beautiful, great family, and the warmth, and loved it. I've been here all my life. I did move to Hatchnahaw once because our family's a boat enthusiast, water, but then we built a home that my parents had some property on, and we purchased it right at the end of Bay Street, and it was, I guess you'd say, my dream house. My daddy drew the plans and built it, and
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
I'll say this. So anyway.
So why did your grandmother come here?
Well, she came here, of course, to get away, from where she was.
Yeah.
A very hard area. And I don't know how they entered down here. I think they might have stopped in New York first, or maybe somewhere, which is so strange. And then they came on down here, and my grandpa, Nable, Hornsby, they both came here, and they opened a little store, and she just was an icon in this community and just stayed and loved it. And her whole family, of course, was here.
Yeah. I remember your grandmother's store.
I know we used to go shopping in there. Yeah.
Where was the store?
It was up by, where was
That's
the
right
store?
by Holly Hill, where Holly Hill purchased it. It was like, had the old screen doors, and people came and got their kerosene there, and you'd walk in, and we would always get to have a cold drink and some candy, and she had, comic books, just anything you might wish you could go back to. And she had 10,000 rings on her fingers because she pawned them for people that needed help. And just, that one time they had meat and cheese, and they had like a regular, meat market in the back, little groceries, and had an apartment store on the side where you could go shopping. But it was quite the store. It was right down there between Jamestown and Davenport. And it was really neat. My uncle had a car lot right across the street, so.
It was North Boulevard.
Yeah, she's right off the highway there.
Right there at Holly
toward
Hill.
them, and it was a little landmark, yeah.
We used to walk there after school. She'd wrap your stuff up in a newspaper and do that.
And make you say the Christmas presents too.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what a fun. She'd stay with us at night, and we'd go back there because we always served her food, because my Aunt Helen and my mama shared her, so the kids, we'd go back there, she'd have cucumbers in her eyes, or tomato, whatever she ate, she had all over, and her skin was just like cotton. It was so soft and beautiful, but, she always said, chew everything 20 seconds, and blah, blah, blah. But she was a beautiful older woman.
Yes, she was.
I remember standing on that porch, talking to people across the street. It was just,
Yeah, it was, and then big old pond of those koi fish in the back, which were amazing.
Right down the street from there with Jack Chastain's grocery store. And that's where Charles worked, my brother. So we would walk to where he was, and then we'd stop there first and get our stuff. Never going down to where he was at Jack Chastain.
So, which uncle was it that had the car lot?
Well, Uncle Henry had it first, and Aunt Annie, and then of course they moved to Orlando later. And they lived right there, I think it's on Pine Street, they had a house. And then Uncle Joe ran it eventually for a while, I think. And I mean, he ended up with it in the end and split it with his Aunt Helen and Uncle Bobby, so it's still always stayed in the family. Yeah.
That was the last one he had it in Georgia. Who was that?
Tennessee, Uncle Bobby. And he's
The old girl.
Yeah.
The lady that bought it had to go through somebody in Georgia. And Helen got it when he died.
Tennessee, yeah, but, yeah.
When you were little, did she let you run a tab, or did you have to pay for it when you got it?
I think she usually gave us our stuff when we would come there because we were grandkids.
I bet she didn't give no tab.
But you know what she would, I don't know, some people she might have written little things and let them pay her later, but she was always pawning stuff, or, you know, I think she might have let people, you know, but we didn't ever have to pay, that I can remember.
Otis is the only one that run them tabs.
Oh, yeah, Otis is the one we had the tabs on. And Alma. I remember walking to the little drugstore that, I can't remember his name, he was so awesome, the little man that bought it. Was it Lance or something like that? Or anyway, in third grade, we were so proud because we got to walk to the Davenport drugstore for lunch, if you can believe that. And we walked through the big trees down past, on Main Street there. And we go to the drugstore first, and then I said, come on, y'all, let's go to Alma's. And I'll just put on Daddy's charge account, y'all get everything you want, anything you want. So we'd stop and get candy and stuff.
You were like Cindy, that's how she did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was Janie and Jody, me, I guess Radio, because we were all in Miss Woods, who was the mother of the twins. And their daddy had been the mayor, and my daddy was the mayor. So we all thought we were big something getting to walk to the drugstore and have lunch.
Linda, tell us about your, and then we'll go back to Sharon. Tell us about your brothers and sisters, the Dudneys.
The what?
Tell us me about your brothers and sisters.
Oh,
How many there are and what they do.
I come from a family of 12. And my brothers all worked at Standard Sand. Every one of them were Boston at Standard Sand. And then, let's see, my sister, she was, one of them was manager of Longhorn's Corner Grub. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
We all
I
went
think,
there in high school.
I think Marqueen and Rita worked with her,
Sweeters.
but I never did.
You
So,
never went to the drugstore? Oh, really?
at Longhorn,
Yeah.
She knows how to make slumber.
she made that,
Your sister knows how to make it?
she did, she's
Yeah.
gone now.
Oh.
I got that recipe somewhere, she
Yeah.
wrote it down.
That's the best slaughter.
Mustard
We go
bread.
there in high school.
Mustard coleslaw.
Mm-hmm. But they let theirs sit for about 2 weeks. Well, Heidi told me, but I said, why don't you sell it? I said, you would be, make lots of money for people
Yeah,
in here.
because everybody loved
You
it.
can't really replicate it and have that unless you have that recipe.
Okay, tell us about your brother, your sisters, Sharon.
Me, I have had three sisters. I'm the oldest, Sharon Lee, and I thought I was going to be the only one. And so then my daddy always wanted a boy, so my next sister's Billy. And she's 4 years younger than me, so he named her Billy because he was W.K. William Bill Nable. And then the next one was Robin, but our housekeeper, we were in Kissimmee, and she said, she looks like a little red peanut. And she named her Peanut, and it's stuck ever since. And she passed, it's been 11 years ago, I believe, and she was only 54. A great, awesome PE teacher in Haines City, and taught swimming lessons here and everything. And the youngest sister, Tracy, and she lives in Lakeland now. And she lived right next to Mama for a long time. So those are the four of us, and my poor daddy got stuck with 5 women. Four girls and my mama.
Okay, tell us about Davenport Elementary.
Oh my goodness. I was thinking this morning and dreaming about it. Because I tell my daughter and like Morgan, my granddaughter, because they moved to Baum over there, and her high school was 4,000. But I always say to Nikki and Jeremy, I said, you know, we're so blessed, me and y'all, because I have lifelong friends from when I was a kid, and I still see them today and communicate with them. And I said, and y'all do too, because you still have friends here and communicate with them and hang out. And I said, it's so many, but
They don't even know each other.
no. And so I guess that I just always loved children, and I guess my love of that must have come from, well, I always taught like Sunday school at the Methodist Church. We went to our Methodist church, Sunday school, Bible school, and I just loved kids. And I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. And so I went to Davenport Elementary, and one of the unknowns today or a possibility is to be able to walk to your school. And everybody would just walk along or ride their bikes. And we played outside until it started. It was just a big old main building. And it was just phenomenal. And, you know, that's where, and I think when I tie into it, I wrote small town Davenport, because to me, this small town love is what I think creates and created the atmosphere for that. Because, and what I always taught my kids everywhere I went as principal or teacher is, you know, treat others like you want to be treated, that good old golden rule, and love one another, and be kind, you know, because we sure could use that in these times. And, you know, we would just always, teachers would assign us to help each other, and just, you know, you might have some children that need a little extra help. Well, Miss Gregory would stick somebody like me in the cloakroom and say, go over his words with him or something. And so, you know, there was that teacher love right there. But Davenport Elementary, I went there, we didn't have kindergarten, so I went from 1st through 6th, and then we went over to Haines City Junior High for 7th and 8th, whereas older kids went all the way through the 9th grade there. But we had a big, beautiful stage, and we had wood floors, and now that's all been restored, thank heavens. But they maintained the old building, which was, because when I initially became principal there, but that was my love, is not to, you know, tear down any of that. And of course they covered it with some old nasty carpet, you know how they do it. Then they finally have revived it, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And you know, we had stairs, and everybody freaks out about kids going up and downstairs, but we had stairs. And like our library was upstairs, and our lunchroom was in the basement. And we were all just in one big happy family in one big building. And Mr. Berry was the principal forever there, and he was his son and his, did he have a daughter? Lily. But then he was like right behind us, but we all went to school there. And it's just, I don't know, it's just the most wonderful experience for somebody to begin their life with and their dreams. Because you have everything there from expectations, responsibility, love, creativity, freedom even. Back then when you only had like 2 teachers per grade level, you know, they were pretty strict back then. You could keep your paddle. But it was just always that family and that love connection from a whole little community. And I think that's what starts it, you know, with your parents and your faith and your, you know, just your community is just, it's always a blessing. Great place to be brought up in Davenport Elementary. And then of course I returned there to teach for my first teaching job. So that was amazing.
That would be good.
And then I shall stop there.
And then you were principal.
And then I went, so then only 4 years I taught, and I was asked to go to the district office as a supervisor for math and travel to schools with children. And Mr. Shaw, who was my high school teacher, was there as an assistant superintendent, and he really encouraged me to go. And so then it was, oh gosh, I don't remember, maybe 10 years later I'd had my son, and I came back to Davenport as like a teacher supervisor, so to speak. And then eventually the assistant principal opened, and I got that. And then I eventually got principal, and my office was right in what used to be my first grade classroom. So just so many thoughts and loves, and you know, so many people from around taught there, and then it was just great. And then of course I made some more changes, but I was there like from a student, you know, all the way through to a teacher and principal, which was quite a feat.
Was there one teacher that influenced you to become a teacher?
Yes, ma'am. And I happened to find a picture of his last night. Bob Fisher, Robert Fisher.
Oh, yeah.
And he just recently died at the age of 90-something. But he, in high school, I had him all 3 years for drama, English, and speech. And so I was always in plays. And he just, you know, he encouraged everybody. And he was funny and comical and just that same thing about making kids feel like they could be whatever they wanted to be. And he was just a great man, and yes, he did. He was my greatest influence.
Is he still living?
No, he died just last year at the funeral.
Oh.
Yeah.
Were you able to tell him that?
Oh, yeah, I had seen him lots of times, and, and of course his wife, back then we didn't have music and art teachers, so she was a traveling music teacher, Dorothy, and so she came to Davenport and taught us music, and we had big musical productions in the auditorium, and we had a choir pit down there, and it was just amazing. But she taught all the kids music, and then Chick Shorter, who died several years ago, traveled up to Davenport to teach us PE. So we got to meet as people we meet later in life.
Now, Linda, you didn't go to Davenport Elementary, right?
Yeah, in the 8th grade.
Oh, in the 8th grade, okay.
Yeah, I had Chick Shorter.
But where were you before the 8th grade? Is that when y'all just moved down here when you were
Yeah.
in 8th grade? Yeah.
And I had Mr. Fisher.
He's a wonderful one.
He was.
And did you have Mr. Jager?
Yeah,
I did.
I did.
Everybody had Mr. Jager. I had Mr. Jager.
Yes.
I remember everybody. Oh, I better not say that.
Get these big old long problems.
Yeah.
Too, but I can do it really well today.
And I had Miss Steele. I don't know if you all did or not. She was real tall, reddish hair, and played tennis. And so the boys hated to get paddling from her because she had that tennis swing. And they,
But Mr. Barry, you could hear him coming down that he was a little crippled, and he would always come right outside your door when he was going to paddle somebody. Oh my goodness, you could hear it like everywhere. He was so sweet.
Go to his house to cut his hair.
And his wife was a teacher also, a loving person.
Whenever, when you walk downtown to eat, you better not throw trash out. We got in trouble. Well, Darlene Say, remember her? We dropped a piece of paper on the ground and got caught by Bethel Judy. Oh. He took us back to the office. Oh. Oh, and Mr. Berry said, I would paddle you both. We both said, I didn't know they said that. Don't throw paper down. So we
If we had this
trash.
kind
Bethel Judy was
of standards today.
he was so funny. He just cracked up laughing.
You talking about Bethel?
Yeah,
Bethel, but yeah.
And then, one day they called me and asked me if I'd go cut his hair. Sure, I'll go up and cut it on my way home. Well, I stopped in and he said, Linda, I'm glad I didn't paddle you that time. I said, I am too. I shaved your hair off.
yeah, Bethel was interesting. I mean, he
That Bethel was a mess.
yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah, he was, you got a lot more threats than you actually got in trouble, but you knew you had been threatened.
Yeah.
And everybody, and your parents knew it before you got home too.
Yeah, because he'd go tell them.
Oh, yeah.
Or he took me home one time where my mom said, this was in high school, she said, it was right before graduation and there were a bunch of people out, and anyway, I don't know why, anyway, they had all the cops right there at this sun pit we were at, and I went, Uncle Bethel. She said, you hadn't called him Uncle Bethel in years. He said, go get in that car over there. And then he took him. My mom was big and pregnant with Tracy right before my graduation, and she was about to have a heart attack. What? He said, it's okay, just let her in the house. Oh my goodness, I was very naive. So naive.
I bet your mom did get it.
Oh, you know she did.
She got it over every day. She was my first customer when I first started doing hair. And I thought, oh, no, I'm quitting. Well, at her and Helen. Yeah.
And then we go anywhere else.
Helen started it because I went in, remember TGMY? I went into TGMY and Helen, I wrote a check to pay for whatever. And she said, oh, you're Linda. You're the one I've been hunting. And then she told me she wanted to come get her hair done, her and Florida.
Talk about here, that's so funny, because you remember how they had those shops right downtown over there?
Yeah.
They had the grocery store, and then that mom always had a dress shop, they had a bus station, and then we lived in the back. But we had this, a black maid that we had forever and ever, and she would come by Mama's store all the time, and one day Mama was downtown and she had her hair in rollers, and so Daddy was there. She said, "Miss Laura, don't you know you're the first lady and you're not supposed to be having your hair in rollers out in public?" So that's probably one of the good things she found you. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I remember that dress shop.
Yeah.
They had some really
And then
nice.
Ruth Carter's sister, Weezy, got it, and
Yeah.
oh shit, because I always got wear the clothes from there. They were really like something what you, those kind of fine, you
Yeah,
know,
they were.
prints and
She
things.
had pretty clothes in there.
And then Juanita was in the middle with the
Yeah,
beauty shop.
Beauty shop.
She'd do those bobby pins on her ring, and her wedding ring was worn almost. And then Annie had a little shop on the end for a while, a little gift shop. And I mean, they just transferred them on, and the bus stop was around the corner, right next to our apartment house, whatever you want to call it. And then the church was right up the street.
Yeah,
That was the Greyhound bus station.
that was back in the good old days.
That was the good old
That
days.
was.
And I used to get to travel with my Aunt Helen, because they lived in Daytona before they finally moved here and stayed. And I would get on that Greyhound and ride the bus, you know, and then my mom would let my Uncle Russell's wild kids come down, and my one had drums, and she said, "Bring me the drums," you know, my mother, anything went. And so he would load those drums up on that bus and come down here and stay for 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know. But anyway, it was fun to ride it. It was a special treat.
When I first opened that beauty shop, the bus stop was right at the front door. All them people would pile out.
I used to love to run behind it, smell it.
it.
I love to smell that diesel.
Yeah. Yeah, they come piling out of there.
That's why we're all crazy, because that's diesel. A great part of us was, of course, our Davenport pool. You know,
Yeah.
gone, and nobody has any input in it. All of it's old. I think of a lot of things we could have done to save it, but oh my goodness. Walk on that old rocky road. The main road used to be all rocks, and we'd walk down there, have a summer pass, stay from noon till it opened till it closed every day. It was just, oh my goodness. Harriet and Pete were like swimming teachers and lifeguards and everything. It was just so much fun.
It's funny you mention that, because almost everybody without exception that grew up here mentions that swimming pool.
Yeah.
When we're
Swimming lessons, and then they had the synchronized team. Hazlett, Lynn.
Lynn.
Was so I was in love with him when I was little.
Everybody was.
I had swimming lessons with him, and
Who was
then
that?
Lynn Hazlett. I don't know if you
Yeah.
do you remember him? Or he lived on the road right near the school, but oh my gosh, he was older than us. Woo! He looked like a beach boy. And he was just sweet, and he just took care of all the kids and taught us good.
I like that pool.
I did too. It's a shame. It's a literal shame.
Um,
Kissimmee kids would come, and the Haines City kids would come.
Yeah.
And nobody else had a pool. We had an Olympic-sized pool.
And because Kissimmee came here to swim, we've got programs from swim meets and stuff.
I can remember when the buses came. They
Yeah.
always came down a couple times during the week and swam. Yeah. And it was like it had the big, tall diving board. I mean, huge. And then had the lower diving board. And it had, I mean, it was Olympic size,
We had
9
enough.
feet at the end.
Yeah.
9, yeah. And it, like a lot of the, like my husband took diving lessons there. They taught the scuba diving lessons there. And I mean, till they finally decided to destroy it and cover it up.
Sarah was talking to the fire chief of Lakeland the other day, and somehow it came up about swimming pools and stuff. And she was telling him that, you know, they had to drain the pool and change out all the tanks and stuff. He said, "Did you wear a gas mask?" And she said, "Well, no, of course I didn't." He said, "You could have died." She said, "Oh, well, I know that now."
Really?
Yeah.
And I remember they would take the little bottles and go around and check everything.
Oh, yeah, it was, that pool has a reputation all its own.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it
And it
does.
has a little snack bar. And in one of my pictures, you'll see we're in the front of Billy and me with Daddy and Mr. Woods, and must be some representative political. And it was right when the pools, I think it was 1959, but it was opening. And I had my coonskin hat and boots, and so did she with a little, she had a romper on, I had jeans on. But we always had that big fish fry.
Yeah.
You know, we'd go right behind, go down those rolling hills, it was like an amphitheater. And they would bring in the citrus boxes, and we had fried fish and all, you know, fixins. And they would just put them on big long tables, and you just go sit. That was the beginning of it. And they had the May Festival. We had Queen. See the gown over there?
Yeah, that's all.
Got the Nable weather.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen that one.
Yes, it really is. Okay, so then the next school you went to was,
Haines City Junior High at that time is what it was called.
okay,
Mhm.
okay, now, Linda, did you go to Haines City Junior High, or where was
No,
the
I
next?
went straight on to Haines City High School,
Okay, okay.
over there at Lake Eva.
Yeah, because how? You must-
Mr. Davis, I think. was-
Not that much older than me. Well, we had Mr. Shaw, but we went to the middle school first, and Mr. Conrad was there.
Yeah.
Went to the junior high. But, and they had you divide by like 8A, 8B, and all that. And I met Miss Etheridge was there. That's another one. I know y'all remember her.
Miss Etheridge.
Like she taught 49 or 50
She never got
years or
married.
something.
Oh my goodness, she was
something.
sight. She was something else. She said, anyway, never sit in a boy's lap and all this stuff. She had all these old rules. She
And
was
then you
something.
had Miss Leslie, did y'all have Miss Leslie? And
Yes, oh, she was,
And Miss, okay, the English teacher, Miss,
oh, the one that was so good, and,
Yeah.
let's see, not Barbara,
oh, fiddlesticks. Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute.
Mayberry, you're probably thinking Miss Mayberry, I have Miss
No, I
Mayberry.
had Miss Mayberry. She was Miss Green when I had her, before she married Mr. Mayberry.
Mhm.
She took us to the beach, she took us to Daytona.
Mhm.
Who? Oh, Heathcock.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She was good. Miss Leslie, who taught American history, she was Miss Florida. She went
She was a beautiful.
Yeah, she
older
went
woman.
to FSU when it was with the women only school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Very pretty. lady.
she's real delicate, sweet. And you have Miss Heathcock, she was totally different.
Oh,
I had Miss Kelly and Miss Pryor. You ever know Miss Pryor?
Miss Kelly lived, you know, that's, her husband was in the war, she wrote that book, you know, and she was in the basement when we were at Davenport, and we had her for history, and maybe English, because we read the books.
She was
Her
curious
name's-
about it. She
Oh,
was
she
curious
was,
at how-
oh, yeah, little Texas, she's from Texas, I think.
Yeah.
Miss Pryor, that is so, that's very, you remember Miss Pryor?
I remember Miss Pryor, she's my favorite teacher. She was our civics teacher at Davenport. And I guess what grade? We must have been ninth grade. She must have taught ninth civics. And she let us listen to because we didn't have TV, she let us listen to the World Series and all of it, just all kinds of stuff. And then she was really one of my very favorite teachers. Yeah, she was good. She was super. And really, really taught civics in a nonpartisan way. She was fantastic, yeah.
And probably, this consultant we always had for reading Realia, like what this is Realia, all this in here. And kids get such more of a meaning out of that when they see the real thing, you know, and then the books, you know, and just always show them from the front cover, it just brings it alive to
It
them.
brings them
But
out.
we always had opportunities like that. I would take my kids out and let them just lay down. I said, let's look at the clouds and they'll tell me what they are, and then you go in and write a story about them.
I was just looking at Jackie Summerlin's PGTV recording from last year, and she was talking about that house. That's the way she taught kindergarten, was outside, you know, because when they would experience. She said they didn't know they were learning. They were, you know, choosing colors and counting.
And they started to have screens poked in their face 24 hours a day.
Exactly. I don't
So
know.
many creative things you could do.
Would you believe they don't even teach them to write their names anymore? It's all print.
Yeah, there's no cursive.
Oh, you mean like cursive?
He was the oldest. And then Cindy, which Steve left 20 years ago, believe it or not.
I don't know, it's been 20 years.
It's been 20 years in April.
Yeah, that seems
But,
impossible.
Cindy now lives in California. She's very involved with, Hope Box, children with cancer. And she's real active in every church, her church and everything. So she will be home July 28th.
Oh, boy.
And how many children does she have?
She's got 3. Amber, Taylor, and Brittany. Amber lives in Reno, Nevada, and she's married and got 3 children. And Taylor and Brittany are still at home. They're with their mom and daddy back in Sacramento. And Taylor went to business college. She graduated from there. Brittany, she's not college material.
She doesn't care about it.
She worked a regular job.
You know, it's not for everybody.
No,
No,
that's good.
Sure isn't.
and Steve didn't have no children. He just had plenty of girlfriends. We had, what, 24 on one bench? On one bench at his funeral.
Oh,
24 girls. They're not on purpose. Of course, they come
He's a
out and
handsome
they can
man.
do that.
oh, that's funny.
Well, I have 2 children, and I'm so blessed. Leroy, my husband, manufactured the airbag propellers, and he was from Dundee. But when we, I always wanted to come home to Davenport, and we lived around this area before we built our home. But he manufactured the noise, and a man from NASA came over actually to help him design it, and he could not believe that Leroy didn't have any education further than high school, no engineering or anything. And it's just a gift that he was given, and that's what you mean when you say it's not, college is not for everybody. Of course, he couldn't have ever gone with his family was poor and all that, but so anyway, and then one thing that reflects from him, and I think of course it's instilled from our parents, which came from our community, is like volunteering, leading, giving, helping, and that, that's what our parents did, and they instilled it in us, and I just, I think I'm pretty helped save the world, and
Yeah.
and so many times my mother, she, anybody and everybody, and so I've gotten myself into some things, because even at school people that, even teachers that would have hard times, you could try to do things with them and help them. Anyway, our firstborn was Jeremy, and of course my husband was so tickled to have a boy, and now Jeremy has his only child as a boy, River, and we named him River Roy, or they named him River Roy, excuse me. He's only 3 because we lived on the river, on the Kissimmee River, and we always went on the boats, and so they made him think, that because we always were on the boats, and Leroy was always on the boats, and then Roy came from Leroy, so River Roy. And so then, and Jeremy, he went to Polk a little bit, he said, it's not me. He's just an outdoor guy, brilliant. He worked with Leroy a lot, and then now he does the big commercial mowing. He like bids in Orlando and around, and he's happy now. He has some current business with Cemex, which is all close by, so he loves to get home early from the river. And of course the fishing every day, and the other day, and I just sidetracked a little bit before I get to Nikki, because it's so, I live at Greenland now, so I'm right down the road because he built his home there. Beautiful home, and he drew the plans, and I said, I wish your Grandpa Nable, I bet he was sitting on your shoulder when you were building this. He said, I wish you'd been here to help me build it or build it. But anyway, the other day, they can go right down to Lake Marion there on the shores and fish, and so Jeremy said, he said, River, it's so hot. He said, let's go home, and about 3 o'clock, he said, let's take a nap, and then when the sun starts setting, a little bit later on, we'll come back. So he played and everything, and a little bit he saw the sun starting to ease down. He said, Daddy, let's go fishing. The sun's starting to come in. She just took some great pictures of him fishing, and the sunsets in the back.
Oh.
But anything Jeremy does, he does, and he is a little outdoorsy guy too. And he goes to Beamer Methodist preschool in Winter Haven, and that's just amazing. It's like just a little community school, and I love it. And then my daughter Nikki, I'm so proud of her as well. really proud of her because she, not any more proud of her than I am, Jerry, you know, Jeremy, but you have different ways that you're proud. But
Yeah.
she went to Florida Southern. You know, Jeremy was always kind of not introverted, but very quiet. And he did swimming and stuff. I wouldn't let him play football, but then Nikki was involved. Volleyball, you know, the governmental system, you know, all the stuff in high school. And then Peanut was teaching their mom and sister, but she got a scholarship to Florida Southern. And then, of course, you know, it's you know, quite a bit to go there. So then she went there, and you are allowed to, if, for example, she went to citrus marketing. Well, our citrus began to be depleted while she was there. But she could work in the nursery there at the Florida Southern. Great professors, small classes, just a beautiful school. And then she worked some other jobs, which, you know, when times change, I would have never thought, or one of my kids really to work while they were going to school. But times changed, and it's just turned her into an amazing, strong woman and businesswoman and mama. And so she is a tree broker and a tree farmer. And she sells trees from everywhere, from Florida to, you know, Georgia, Alabama, other states, Texas, you know, and she had sold some to California. Anyway, she does a lot of that. And she goes and tags the trees, and, you know, she doesn't load, sometimes she does load them, but she has big trucks that she has to arrange to load them. So she has that business, and it's Trees in the South is what she named it. And, and you know, Morgan even kind of does some work with her now. And she has a little farm where she's living right now, but she's got a farm or two in Georgia now, and she's really working that one, but she's got a lot of big stuff down here in Florida. So, you know, that phone is so wonderful, and, you know, your computer, because you can just, she does so much business that way. But she's very dynamic, and she's very dedicated, and she's very competitive, and she's just a good, strong, beautiful woman, and I'm so proud of her, and mother, and, yeah, daughter. She's my best friend, and, yeah, I'm just so proud of both of them. And then she has Morgan, who was her first one, and Morgan just graduated from high school, going to go to ABAC in Georgia, which is an agricultural school, and she loves to do, you know, the cows, her cow right now is pregnant, so she sells the babies when they come, and she's got quite a, you know, because she has won in the shows before, and so, you know, they get their money for when they sell their animals, which is always sad, but I don't know, it turned into a business for Morgan. And then I have, then she has Royce, who is, Morgan is 19, and she was very jealous when Royce came. He was 8 years later, but, because she was the princess, my first one, and, you know, spoiled her rotten. And then Royce came, and he's 11 now, and he is just brilliant. He is just, he amazes us. He has that dry humor, and he's going to be big, like, you know, big and tall. He's huge already. And he's brilliant. He loves to read, and he just has that dry humor, and he's just a wonderful kid. Loves to fish and hunt, of course, too. But
Now, where does Nikki live?
Nikki now lives in Baum, or like, you know, it's in Tampa, but it's a very growing part. It's like Ruskin, Sun City, all in that area, but Baum is like booming, and she has property that she's selling right now, her property, but she's going to be moving to Georgia.
Oh,
my goodness.
And it won't be far, so I'll get to go. I said, I'm coming up, staying some. Yeah, but she's both busy kids and good kids. And it's so nice that I have Jeremy, because I said, bring River over. Haven't seen him in a few days, and they'll ride the golf cart over, and I'll get to see him. And he's another real smart boy. Because he's out there doing, you know, he's doing with his parents, and always busy doing those things. And that's the way Leroy was with our kids, and I was. We always had them going on the boats and stuff.
okay, tell us about, well, I'll go back to Linda. Okay, what profession, Linda? Tell us about how you got started in going to beauty school, and how long you've been a beautician and all those things.
Okay, I started shortly after I graduated from high school. And then I worked for Auntie a little bit when I graduated, and then different ones, even my instructor said, you know, that's just not your place. You need to move on. And then Barbie and I went to school together. We never missed a day. We were Mr. Dell. Mr. Dell did not like nobody. But we were his pets, and they all knew it. We got to do everything. But I think we were the only two that, maybe more, that paid for our college. I think the government paid for everybody else's, and he didn't like that. He did not like it. He did not like you missing a day of college. So we never missed, and we paid, and he, sir, it was noticed because everybody said, he gives you your way. You don't do that to nobody else. If you two are in the classroom, he don't teach very long. And I said, no, he does the same. But anyway, he was a very nice instructor. It was a private school we went to over at Mr. Dell's Beauty College in Arkansas. Then I went, when I graduated there, I went to work with Pauline. And she and I started doing hair shows everywhere. He'd put us out there to work. You would go in and do platform work. I didn't like that at all. So about a year, me and Pauline and I did a lot of platform work. And then when I left there, I come up here. Larry bought the shop uptown, I didn't. We were down here taking aerobics. When I got home, he had bought that beauty shop from Mary Motley. I believe it was. Her name was Mary Motley. Well, beforehand, we made fun of that shop, so when I found out I had it, I was not going to come to work there. I was not telling my customers, guess where we're going. So finally, Debbie, a girl from St. Cloud, was working in there. And finally they said, you know, you got to go down the street. That's got your name on it now. I said, I'm not going in that nudist collar beauty shop. I am not going, it had naked wallpaper all over it. I am not going in there to take my customers. So Charlie Matthews said, okay, Linda, you go get everything together, get them licensed. I'll come in and help get that new wallpaper off. Because everyone's told me people it was nude. It was nude as cotton that she lived out there.
I did not know that story.
I didn't either. And remember Dr. Pollock's office was right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
It was in my shop.
Yeah.
Because we got back there cleaning, and there was a little thing back there, and there was all kind of medicine bottles, prescription bottles. But that shop had a name. I'd be in there with the work, and I had to go to Tallahassee. I'd drive all the way there to get my license because I was bad, I wasn't coming into that place. And I kept telling them, you better go back and get your money. They wouldn't do it. So, but Charlie, and remember Miss Parrish that had Parrish's boutique?
Yes.
And she come out. There's a bunch of them come in and they said, oh my God, we got to scrub this wallpaper off. Oh my God.
That's one I never heard of.
No,
I got pictures of it. It was red with all new people. The bathroom had so many new magazines. So my first day of work, my first week, here come these people in. Oh Lord, because when you buy a beauty shop, you buy customers. So I guess they thought I was Virgin Mary. Oh, you can't come in here with drinks like that. I can't let you drink in here. Well, we did it before. I said, I'm sorry. You cannot bring your beer and stuff in here. And believe it or not, I did lose some of them, but some of them I didn't. Ones I wanted to lose, I didn't lose. But they respect me and not bring in the beer and stuff. And then one day I was in there working, and I had to work late, it was dark. And I had this appointment coming in, and so I cut his hair, and we talked. He told me he was a mafia. He was from Hampton.
Oh, it's mafia.
Yes. And I go, you're a what? Ain't that them bad people? They said, you should have never asked him that. I said, well, huh? I wasn't going to be cornered up in that shop. But it was so funny. David McClendon, I had a little white wicker couch in there, and David come in to get his hair cut, but he was going to wait on him to get his, because he was flying out. And David fell asleep in that corner, and I almost locked him up in there. I was getting out of there. We had some wild days in there. We did. One Christmas, your mother made rum balls.
She probably has some in there. I don't think she can make anything like that.
She had rum balls and she had eggnog. And she had us drinking that stuff. Well, by noon, I was about, look, what happened to me? And then Helen comes in to get her hair done. I said, I don't know what happened to me. I ate Laura's rum ball. And then that's liquor. And then I was drinking that eggnog. Oh my God. So I had to call Joanne, you better come in today just in case. But Helen give her a fit.
I don't know, she probably has somebody make those things or bought them from somebody because she couldn't do that kind of stuff. She made country fried steak and gravy real good.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some food she could cook good, because
Yeah.
she always bring it in for us.
Yeah.
She bought a little basket of rum balls, and I was gonna be a pig.
They're so good.
They are
They
good.
are good,
They are really good.
but you feel it later.
She'll cut this one out. Sharon grew up across the street from me, and her mother would go to the grocery store, and she would come home, and because she, they had a fair sized family, she would come home, and she would open the trunk, and she'd reach in the trunk, and she'd get out a banana or something, and she'd go in the house and leave the trunk open. And then we could hear her yelling, Bill, go get those
And beat the
groceries.
horn.
She wasn't bringing those, she went buying them. She
And John and Michael would peek out the window because we lived right across the street and never watched. They said, there's Miss Nable, get her from her.
I think it was a generational thing with the rum balls, because my grandma, who was very Southern Baptist, always made rum balls at Christmas.
Yeah.
And we all have the recipe.
Well, we had to have them rum balls.
Yes.
Maybe she did make it. We never knew about it. I would like to learn.
But Helen just had a fit though, but she said, Laura come in the next week, she said, don't you ever tell Helen when I bring you stuff. I said, okay, I won't. I thought she was in on it. And she said, I told her, well, it wasn't as bad as your husband. He gets drunk all the time. I thought I'd die. She was good. Helen just could not get nowhere with her.
No,
That
Helen was the
Laura
boss.
come back, she wasn't the boss.
And Aunt Helen was just a nice little meek one.
Yeah. And she would get on us. I mean, she talked to us that way too. One time she goes, remember when she worked at the gift shop at a hotel?
Oh, yeah, she got a big award in Orlando that
Yeah.
day. She was supervising them all.
She wanted to sneak us up there, Joanne and I, but she didn't want nobody to know who we were.
She gave you her discount.
Yeah, you're gonna give us a
Yeah.
discount. So she said, now y'all stay in the parking lot till we come out and get you. Well, she forgot us. She forgot us. It was Monday, she thought it was Sunday.
She was a saleswoman, there's no doubt about it.
My mother worked for the gift shop, the hotel for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
She worked with Laura.
They look there. I didn't realize that Miss Tilly worked there, but they do it the old road, old lane
Oh,
road.
yeah. And Mother worked till they didn't close till like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Mother would work that night shift. My father finally got me.
Yeah, and because coming home, and then they had whatever left over, at that time, people would bring them Disney tickets that were left over, Mama would give them to
Yeah.
people, you know, because they couldn't use them. That was a rarity back in, you know, the Disney.
We had fun though, back in the day, we did.
So how long were you in that shop, Linda?
39 and a half years.
I knew it was a while.
That's when Cindy came in, Mother's Day, right? Cindy come in. So she said, Mom, let's go to Clearwater, stay a couple of days. And I was going through that with Ann too. So we went over there and I called my customer and only had that one book for Tuesday morning and put it on her answer machine. Well, she went to New York and forgot, didn't read her answer machine. So we're over in Clearwater at a hotel. Pat comes in to get her hair done. I'm always there. Never stood her up all these years. I worked over 32 years. She goes to the police station and has them to do a health well test on me.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I was in Clearwater with Cindy. So nobody, I mean, even Kathy didn't even know to tell them where I was. She knew. Because she come over and spent Mother's Day with them. And Alfred didn't tell the police. Well, the police shows up at my door. And I'm not answering. And I'm not answering the phone. But it's there all morning. I think Kathy finally called you, didn't she? If I was with Harriet. And she said no. She called Cindy. Harriet called Cindy.
I called Cindy. She said, well, she's the maid here.
Cindy, I'm back up in the hotel. She's walking on the beach. Well, she said, she come running back up there. Mom, they're looking for you. The police and all's at your house. They got you reported missing. She said, I went on the ring and tried to tell them that you were with me and they wouldn't accept it.
No.
Oh my
They
goodness.
said they couldn't. So she said, you gotta call there. So I did. I called the police station and told him who it was. And I said, I'm with my daughter, Cindy. And he said, we cannot accept that. We have to have proof.
Oh my goodness.
So, but the day before, I had rented a hotel room and it wasn't clean, good. So I went up to the office and I said, hey, we cannot take this room, it's not clean good. You know, so you'll have to put us somewhere else. I'm not staying in that dirty room. And she said, well, let me see what I can do. Well, she didn't like me to begin with. Well, then they're telling me Davenport Police Department is sending a police from Clearwater to the hotel.
Oh my goodness.
I have to show them my driving license and identify myself. I said, oh my God, these people are going to think I'm some kind of hoodlum. So I go downstairs, because I got to meet the police down in the lobby. I go downstairs and I said, well, girls, listen, I got a story to tell you. And the police is coming looking for me. So I proceeded to tell them and they started laughing. I bet you won't leave home again without telling somebody. I didn't have to tell nobody. But he come in the door and I said, ooh, I bet that girl's going, that's karma getting back at her for complaining about that dirty room.
Only at Linda's. There's a really neat article, I don't know if we have it here or not, but it's several pages in the newspaper with pictures of, and the title is something to do with what was the movie? Steel Magnolias. It's Davenport Steel
Oh.
Magnolias.
We have to, man, do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, even my son-in-law, who doesn't even know Linda, and he would, he'd say,
I have a picture of Nikki getting a perm.
Oh, me too. She gave Nikki her first perm, and she wouldn't let her go to the bathroom with her. She had all her clothes off and all the perms, the rollers out. She's
She's
not like this
on
mom. She's about 3, 4.
Trey always says, well, you going to Miss Linda's to get the latest? I said, that's the only place to get it.
Yeah, Matt, Charlie's son, Matt from Tallahassee, Charlie Matthews, he said, I can't wait to get back to Tallahassee and tell them about you. I'm gonna tell them they gotta straighten up, they want me to start coming here. He brought Charlie and I had put up peas. I know how Charlie loves fresh peas. And she can't cook them no more, so he was talking about, what are we having for dinner, Mom? And I said, I have an idea. What are you talking about? You gonna go home and cook dinner? No, I'm gonna give you some peas to cook. He said, oh, but then we got to stop at the store and get cornbread and buttermilk. No, you don't. I got that in there too. So I went in there and got a little pint of buttermilk and some cornmeal and fixed him up in Ziploc bags. And now there's your supper.
That's the
You go
best.
home and cook the peas.
Now, how long's Charlie been coming?
Charlie's been with me since day one. I went to a hairdresser for 2 days. She came to me at Pauline's.
Oh, okay.
And she knows now, but back then we didn't tell her. But, oh, she was a handful.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even take a vacation because she would have a fit. And nobody would do her. Pauline refused it. Barbie refused. Everybody refused to touch her.
Uh-huh.
She was just that picky. But you know, she worked for a doctor, and they did plastic surgeries and stuff. So when Ed got her, he bought this restaurant, the Sonny's Barbecue, and he got her to move here. She hated it. So she took it out on everybody. Everybody. And now she knows it because we've told her. And she had to have certain rollers. I had to go get certain rollers, certain everything for her. And the stiffest gel they had on the market. Her hair would not, I mean, you take it down, it'd be so soft. Now, Linda, I can't do nothing about it. But, and it's still that way today. But she's a nicer person now than she.
She's really sweet
Ooh.
now.
I didn't realize she was still here.
And did you ever know M.B. Willoughby's wife? Did you ever know her? Laverne?
I don't know if I knew her, but I know she, the daughter, I think, had a daughter.
Yes.
Debbie, yeah.
Yeah.
Laverne was a pit stop.
She was like Charlie, only maybe worse.
The two of them didn't like each other.
Oh,
And you could not have them in the shop at the same time. And Pauline said one day to me, she said, what is it about them two that they don't like each other? She said, I said, oh, they don't. She said, have you not noticed that part? No, I'm too busy focusing on getting that hair teased way up there today. But Charlie got, after I moved down here, Amy Grantham, she taught school.
Yeah,
She worked with me,
yeah.
and Charlie loved her. She loved her.
And her husband
Because of
had a
her,
bike, a
yes.
motorcycle.
And one day Amy was sitting over there doing nails, she looked over and said, Charlie, do you mind if I use your Cruella rollers? Oh. She said, I want Linda to roll my hair on your Cruella roller. Oh, Lord, girl, you don't know. But she laughed about it, so Amy broke the ice with Charlie. She was real sweet after that. But I have had some.
See, I haven't heard none of these stories, Linda, so this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of them. I could write a book.
Well, you should.
I should write a book.
You should. Okay, Sharon, tell us about, I know you were principal at Davenport, but tell us about your other.
Okay, I started out at my profession as a teacher first back at my school, Davenport Elementary. Taught second and third grade for 4 years, and then I had an opportunity to go to the district office, and I got my master's also through a very special program when I was at Davenport through the district. And so I went, I was a math and reading coach, and I had 25 schools, and I traveled the east side districts, and I tutored, paraprofessionals and observed teachers, and we had classes. My supervisor, we did evening classes on hands-on activities for mathematics. And then from there, I came back to Davenport as a teacher supervisor, and then eventually assistant principal, and then principal. And I was principal at Davenport, I think, for, oh my gosh, 3 or 4, 7 years, I don't remember. Then it was so big because we had 1,100 kids, it was huge. And so they decided they were going to build a school in Lofton Elementary. So the superintendent asked me to go to that one, and I got to design it and the colors, and it was just really neat. And so, of course, I didn't want to leave that one, but we needed it because it would help everybody with the size. And so I went to Lofton Oaks, is what we named it. We only had 465 kids at the beginning, and we were the critters, and we had all that beautiful woods behind us, and the people who donated the land for the school were from Wisconsin because they got the Hamilton Ranch. Remember, they bought that to make what's now, I can't think of the...
Providence.
Yes, Providence. Anyway, they came, and I gave, I had zebra hats with the critters on the front. We were all like little woodsy animals, and so they came to visit, and I gave them all hats. And so then from there, just there 1 year, and we hadn't even started yet, hadn't barely dedicated it, and Dr. Stewart was asking me or wanting me to have an interest in the magnet school, because in Haines City, they had what they tried to do to desegregate all the schools, and you could literally have a child in 3 or 4 schools, because they did, one was a K1, one was a 2-3, one was 4-5, and then they had the middle school. So it just wasn't working, and it wasn't becoming integrated, so they knew that the magnet strategy was a new strategy for being able to desegregate schools. And so I've always been a risk taker, and so when I'd gone off that weekend to a meeting, had to go to a class, I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Well, go for it." So I did, and of course I had so many people mad at me that went with me from Davenport to Lofton, and so then there was an application process, and I got to, of course, design the whole thing, because before it was predominantly black students or African American. I always say black students. That's what we had in the documents, black and white. And so they had to literally move all those children out, and then it was an application process because they had to get it balanced, black and white and other. And so my kids, we had a group of parents come there. We chose uniforms. We had, a mascot. I built a big courtyard so that we could celebrate and be out together. And it was just a very project-based school idea, and so I just went. I was 27 years at Bethune, and it was the highlight of my career. I mean, of course, being at Davenport was the crowning glory, but to go and be able to do that in such a new and different way, and the parental support, black, white, green, or yellow, it didn't matter. I had our percentage for the charter was to be, we had to have 65% white and 35% black or African American. So when a white student left, and white would be any, I believe the Asian at that time, everybody like that was involved in the white population. And so then another child, we had a waiting list. They would come in. If a black child left, the black child came in. It was highly successful. We maintained that for the whole time, and I was there 27 years out of my 49 years. That's why I ended my career. And it was hard to let it go because I had the cream. I had a group of teachers that also had to develop a book, and they had to be interviewed really, really thoroughly. And it had to be balanced, and art, music, PE, and and then we had an engineer, because it's STEM, it was a STEM school: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So we had hydroponic gardens. We'd gotten a $500,000 grant, so we bought the hydroponics. Every grade level had a row, and they harvested, they weeded, they planted, they ate it, we sold some, we took some to the community. And then technology, we had the engineering lab, and they did robotics, and it was amazing what those kids could do. And then we had engineering, technology, and engineering. We had computers, and then we had the engineering, was the robotic lab. And then mathematics, we had a math lab as well. And then math, of course, was taught very hands-on. I had a math specialist, I had a science specialist, and an engineering specialist. And then my music teacher was amazing, and now, of course, she went on to Barjo, but she was phenomenal, Jessica Fredericks. And she was really big on writing grants, and so there's one grant she wrote, she earned a guitar lab. And she actually had a guitar lab that had 20 guitars with the stems in the middle, and she could teach them all individually. The kids composed music. We had drum sets, and every celebration at the end of the month, we would all perform and celebrate 2 children from every classroom in every special area. So it was just, I had started that when I was at Davenport, and other schools do it now, which I'm so, it's so wonderful when you can share. And I don't care if you did it, it's a wonderful thing. Spread the wealth. And then Laughlin, we did it under the big tree. Davenport had 1,100 kids, and they would walk out in front, and like from kindergarten up, and finally they used to just stand for an hour, which was amazing. And a teacher said, why don't we bring chairs? And I said, okay. So each child would bring their chair from kindergarten up, carry them out, most of them, and I would stagger them like K, 2, and 4 on the one side, and then, so the height and all. And it was amazing. It was just amazing. The kids, they just dance to your tune when you do it the right way, and you treat them like you want to be treated. That's what I always say: hug them, love them, praise them. And so that was the highlight of my career. And I did a lot of training on the, sometimes we had to do training, but when we were when we did Bethune, we had a lot of training, and my teachers were just, what a cream of the crop, and devoted, and we just did so many wonderful things, and it was so successful, which was the beauty. And the community, I was very involved in, and I have some of the, in some of those pictures, I have pictures of the Mason in the Bethune community. They would come and bring, at Thanksgiving, they brought like big dinner boxes, and they would come in, love to have the picture taken. And I've got some of my business partners in some of the pictures. Of course, Miracle Tree Month to celebrate whoever was drawn, drawn from the golden and silver, or what we did silver tickets, and the other schools I did gold tickets. But just, it was just a way, it wasn't a bribery system, it was a system to celebrate what the kids had done. So then I had a basket, and they filled out the tickets, I signed them, they took them home, and oh my goodness, they would count them and save them. Then we had a big drawing at the end of the month, and my PTAs, they were always so supportive, and they would buy like 30 gifts for the drawing, educational or toys or whatever. So, and then Miracle would bring those 2 bikes every month, and we finally did some Kindles, and just, I just had wonderful business partners, and we would.
And she even had other school partners, because I went there with my granddaughter from Lakeland. That she did that. I think they did they do guitars? I don't know. She was there twice. Anyway.
And then we would always give back, because like we performed in the chamber. I was really involved in the chamber, and and just, we had partners from the from the hospital to wherever. And that's one trainer I had one time, or one professor. He said, always be sure you join your chamber and a club, like a service club, and that's what it's all about, and that was very beneficial. But parents galore, it didn't matter if we would have big field, whatever we had, parents came, and if they had to take a little time off of work and come and go back, and it was phenomenal, and really wonderful experience. Out of my 49 years.
You had a lot of support there.
I did, I had a lot of support, and we had
and good teachers.
Oh, great. And this is just makes me, it's so not funny, but it's really rewarding in your heart. Just, have graduations, and I always had this big graduation for my kids. They had gowns, and we had music, and we had plants, and it was the end of you know, our era, you weren't supposed to get any notes, and you had this evaluation we had to do was just, I said, I've been leaving love notes for all these years, and I've always continued to leave love notes. And even you could leave a note and say, hey, you might want to do this or this, but always. And they saved them. But these 2 teachers sent a text the other day. I mean, I've been out since 2020, and they said, you know, everybody's graduating now. They're sharing their little graduations on the, you know, Facebook and there. So she said, Debbie, we were just talking about you and how you always did yours. And she said, nobody could not to outdo, but, you know, just, I wanted it to be the best and the greatest for my children and the parents. And you know, when they remember those things and they come back and remind you, and, you know, children too, the things they come back and say, that's when you know you did what you're brought to do.
Yeah.
As my one professor said, he said, teaching is the second highest calling, and it truly is. I mean, you know, and then of course you've got all the people that serve others, the nurses and the doctors and our veterans and our service people. But the stories I told Janet when we opened up the thing, I said I wished I had started a journal, because I could tell you a few stories too.
Yeah.
Because you had a very colorful group.
Yeah.
All around from all kinds. You know, you would get some really colorful ones in there that would give you good laughs.
You could write a book too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cake judging,
Yeah.
and I baked that homemade orange cake.
Okay.
Well, I had one to bring me some oranges. And at the last minute, he called me up. He was down at the bank in Haiti City.
Oh.
And he said, go to this road, and I forgot your oranges on Holly Hill Road out there. The road right by the road. Go in there and get you some oranges. So I went after work. Well, I'm out there picking me some oranges, and Haiti City police pulled up.
No.
That's their jurisdiction. And they come walking over there and said, ma'am, do you know this is against the law? You're in somebody's grove. I said, no, sir, I have permission. Well, I had to call Warren.
Oh, Lord, McKnight told you to go.
They were down there in the meeting. Oh my God, tell this man, you told me to come get these oranges. You got me in trouble. Oh goodness. And he had to get on the phone and tell him.
I will tell you one other thing that was always, because, you know, I was the first one, and then of course my daddy was the mayor, and this one May Day, every May when the pool opened, we had the Big Fish Fry, the pool open, we had a pageant, and he said, you know, Sharon Lee, the reason we open the pool is because it's your birthday. You know, because it's your birthday, that's why the city opens the pool. I said, that is so neat. And, you know, told me that from when I was a little girl on up, so I thought I was somebody big, but that was something funny. And
I bet you would have run telling everybody.
the first, you would have thought we were Orlando Miss America pageant, because we had the girls that were gorgeous, and my daddy was the mayor at the time, so they had a beautiful crown. You remember it. And then they had the
Scepter?
scepter.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to crown him with this first, and I'm going to crown him. You know, my daddy was so funny and sweet. But it was quite a feat. I can remember my cousin, when Lee was in it, she thought she was going to win it. She didn't. I don't know if she placed, but she left, huffed out of there after it was over. It was the crowning event of the evening after the fish fry.
It was Ozzie Wiley's wife made the road.
It was,
It was gorgeous.
oh, she was such a seamstress.
Yeah.
What's her name,
It
Sadie?
was red
yes, Sadie.
velvet and had
Sadie.
white fur and everything. Oh, it
They
was.
live right
On the corner.
On the corner of
Yeah.
there.
Is that house still there? I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You can't see it for all the weeds and all the
The weeds and
stuff
the
growing
bushes.
up around
She
it.
used to make stuff for us and like alter things for us.
Oh, yeah, she was very
She was
talented.
Very
very,
beautiful
hard.
blue eyes she had.
Yeah,
she was a good
she
woman.
was
Mhm.
a very interesting person. She really was. She could
Yeah.
really sing. Yeah. We had that road for a long time. I don't know what happened to it. It's like that, there's a picture in some of the,
Shirley
life
Willis.
pictures.
I believe Shirley Willis was the first queen, wasn't she?
She was one of them.
I think she
Yeah,
won that
probably
year
was the
anyway,
first
I can
one, yeah.
remember.
We've got some pictures somewhere, some black and
Mhm.
whites here of that, of the contest.
So was it a beauty contest they had every year at the?
Swimsuits.
When the
That
pool was
strictly
open?
Swimsuits, and
Yeah,
that was
they wore
it.
swimsuits.
To celebrate opening the pool?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. They had it on the stage at Davenport.
And we had a balcony in you know, in the auditorium and then the stage, and it was, I mean, the crown and the scepter they were quite magnanimous. I mean, they were really nice.
Yeah, they were
I can
very-
still remember.
Yeah, for
Oh,
town this
wow.
small.
Beautiful
right?
crystals, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just, whew, I was because I always loved that, because my mom had that store, and, you know, that jewelry and everything, she always had the showcase, and I had a friend that would come over, and when she'd spend the weekend from Haines City, Sandra Hall, she would let her get stuff out of the store and bring it to my house and wear it all weekend. I said, Mom, and she said, I told her she could take anything she wanted to wear. So she did, but anyway, my mother was a mess, you had to know her.
She was fun.
She had a lot of fun.
Mhm.
She was.
A lot of fun.
Do you want us to do like a closing comment, or are we just still chit-chatting? I mean, about.
Sure, what,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I just think I've already said that in the beginning, but it's just my pride for this little town and growing up in it. Nothing better. And you know, you see kids now. We have the Haines City High School reunions, and we have the little, you know, of course, the Davenport and Haines City, and you know, of course, the pool is a highlight with everybody, and just everybody brags about they were so blessed to be brought up in a town like this, and it's just something you can never replicate.
You can never forget.
Never anymore. And it was just, I know that's what gave me, you know, all my oomph to be what I wanted to be and know I could do it. And I was surrounded by, you know, good love and people and kindness, you know, and expectations everywhere. So it was,
Fun people.
yes, all the time.
And it's what a lot of people are looking for today,
Yeah.
but it's not there
No.
anymore. It's not there.
No.
The sense of community is
Mhm.
not there.
I don't think we had no snobs. Lived
Yeah.
with you.
Well, yeah.
You might have a few, but
Yeah,
you just kind
but
of.
there wasn't anything,
That you noticed?
no,
No.
like my mother would say, you know. This one you can't report. But, they were doing a party at Miss Hilda McKnight's house for somebody. And Lucille Ingram was there. And mother brought in some stuff, and she had a couple pieces of silver or whatever. She brought her stuff in. Lucille told mother, she said, I just hate polish and silver. My mother said, wouldn't know, Lucille, never had none.
And Lucille didn't have that much probably.
She was as poor as my mother.
Yeah.
The day her mom passed,
Tilly.
Yeah.
it was, we had she come in with a gallon of tea and some kind of sandwiches.
Tilly did.
And we had so much to do before we went home. Put up a Christmas tree.
She wouldn't go home without putting up Linda's Christmas tree.
She did. And she went around to Jan's and put Harriet and them stuff on layaway for
The
her.
smell, you know how it smelled, it was just so neat.
They had my bridal shower there before Pete and I got married.
Yeah.
And I sat at a card table with a table skirt on it. And so I have a habit of slipping off my shoes. So I did, I slipped off my shoes. And somebody had opened a gift or something that was in a shoebox. But I didn't pay attention to what was going on. And in a few minutes, this shoebox appeared that was decorated up. And I opened it, it was my shoe.
How cute.
Somebody had watched me and do me.
Those look like my shoes.
And speaking of that, I ruined the surprise because they were going to give her, I mean, I can remember just hanging all over Pete and Harriet. They'd be down at the end trying to have a little kiss here and there at the pool. And so they were going to give this shower, I don't know if it was that one, but a surprise shower. You know, in a small town, everybody went. And I said, well, I'll see you at the shower tonight. And Peter said, what? What did you call that, Sharon Lee? And oh, I thought I was going to be dead meat. I mean, I was just hanging all over him. And Harriet didn't have a clue. It was so funny. Oh, my goodness.
And when we first moved, of course, we moved to town. They moved our house to town in 1949, I think, somewhere in there. Anyway, and Lenny Kohler lived in Ossie's house.
Oh, okay.
And so she was a member of the Women's Club. And so anyway, we were, we had just come from the woods, so at Christmas time, each of the women in the women's club adopted a child to do stuff for. Well, Lenny Kohler adopted me, and she gave me a baby doll that the eyes opened and closed.
Oh,
and I will never forget it. No, I was about 5.
Oh, that's sweet.
It was, and I thought, oh my goodness, that was so sweet.
She was Daddy's secretary forever and kept him straight.
Yeah, she was.
But that one, it was really, we had our Girl Scout meetings there, we actually had our own Girl Scout house.
Right.
Right up by the lake, a real house that was a Girl Scout house. It was amazing.
What lake?
Right in Lake.
It's Joe Rock's house.
Yeah.
Was the Girl Scout.
And what did, who built that?
The lock
Kim.
house. Is it the
Yeah.
lock house?
Yeah.
You look right up from the lake and it's right there. And
Yeah.
it was wood, all wood in the inside
Yeah.
there.
Was one huge big room with a fireplace and had a small kitchen. And then you went upstairs to the loft because we had slumber parties in the
Who
loft.
built that?
Miss
Walker?
Kingham.
Huh?
Miss Kingham.
Miss Kingham, okay, yeah. She was our nurse and she had a lot of kids, but
Yeah.
that was another
She
one.
adopted kids.
I was scared of her.
Oh, everybody. And she, and then when because in the old days, when you sold Girl Scout cookies or made any money, you got to keep the money.
Mhm.
Well, the Girl Scout organization didn't like that. So then we had to become the Gulf Council Girl Scout Council.
Yeah.
So it has over around Tampa, whatever. So they got her instead of the cookie. She took away the Girl Scout house.
Oh, she
She
did.
did. She said, nope.
That was, it was, I know, I reflect that and I think, people probably wouldn't believe it if we said we had it was beautiful.
It was
Girl
a
Scout
beautiful
house.
house, had a stone walkway,
It was
curved walkway
amazing.
up to the front. It was
She
lovely.
had John and, she had a Roy and a John, I think.
She had 6, I think.
Yeah.
She had Polly and
Oh, yeah.
Roy and Chris and John and Martha and Shelby,
Oh, you did good.
and one that's older, and I can't remember what her name was.
And she was an Army nurse, and she
Yeah.
would come to school and do our vaccinations, and mine left a big old scout on her.
Oh, yeah.
I was scared to death of her.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
She
She was-
redid the inside of the Methodist church, I guess it was after Pete and I were married, I don't know anyway. She, because she did woodworking, and she did some of the stuff on the
Yeah, I
altar.
love our little church. Oh, it's so beautiful.
I know.
When you go and sneak into the minister's office, it was just amazing. Lots of books and his big chair and just,
We had our Sunday school class in the basement where the big heater was.
yeah.
Yeah.
And all around and right outside the church for some classes, but it was so fun.
Now, did y'all ever know George and Emma Newton?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was our Girl Scout. She was a
Girl
leader.
Scout.
I have Emma Newton's, or they may be here, I have Emma Newton's 50th anniversary china.
Oh, my goodness.
Her, okay, Emma and George and Gundy and Todd Costello started the Wildwood, the girls' camp at Wildwood. Anyway, I think Gundy just turned 107. She's still alive. She still paddles a canoe. And she just got an award in England for some big thing. I go to her birthday party every year. Like
how
that. They go to her
exciting.
birthday party. And, but anyway, so George and Emma, when they were celebrated their 50th anniversary, people gave us china, and it's just beautiful. And Gundy's sister, when George died, Emma said, I don't need this anymore, so she gave it to Billy, who is Gundy's sister. And Billy called me up one day and she said, you and Pete eat at Lang's all the time. Sometime when you're at Lang's, would you come over and see me? And I said, sure. She lived in the house behind Lang's. So I went over. Pete and I went one day. He said, what in the world does Billy want? I said, I don't know what she wants. Anyway, she said, you're the only person I know that will appreciate this china. So I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, my goodness.
It's gorgeous. I don't know, because I wanted to put it in the museum, and I can't remember if I've given it to you already or not. But it's Art Nouveau design. It's really very, very unusual. It's Mikasa, which
Yeah,
well,
that's what
over
mine
100
is.
years old, you
Mikasa.
know. So, anyway, but Pete said, oh my Lord, we don't need any more china.
She was short and tiny, she was so cute.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
bought
He was a
her
sweetheart, too.
house over there across from the bank.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I forgot you told me that, yeah.
yeah,
They lived in the house.
that was our first house we owned.
Yeah.
Larry and I had an old kerosene heater in it, with hardwood floors,
Mhm.
and it was two stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two apartments upstairs. Judy Hardy, did you ever know Judy?
Oh, yeah.
Judy lived upstairs, her and Jimmy.
Remember the Walmsley's house? I always thought that was a mansion, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, the,
Walmsley's, right up from our house, we always
the,
would want to peek in when she opened the door.
the last pictures in the last article in the Ledger, Scott Wheeler did those, and I knew they were gonna do them, so Scott said, will you come up and talk to me about the house? And I said, sure. So we were taking a picture, and he was just livid that they tore that house. And they all are. I said, they just,
And that had, remember the apartments behind them? I always wanted to live in one of those.
well, the neat story about that, Miss Walmsley was our Girl Scout leader.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a bar in the basement, and this big
I
painting.
didn't know I had a basement, wow.
And we always wanted to go to the basement, because we knew, they covered up the picture, but we knew it was a naked lady. And it was. We always wanted to go to the basement, but it was always covered up. So she wouldn't let us go to the basement.
She was another beautiful lady too.
She was, she danced with Ziegfeld.
Wow.
Alice, yeah, she did.
I never got in there, but when she would come to the door, I would always peek around and see what I could see. And they had a pool, and they were,
Yeah,
I don't know if they were the only people in town at that time that had a pool.
they were.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. Beautiful house.
And
Why
it
was it torn down?
It was a Sears time.
Why was it tore down?
It was torn down because the people that owned it sold it to somebody else, and they were gonna put duplexes there.
oh my gosh, did
And
they
the
ever do
city
that?
had no.
Didn't they have a fire in there or something?
Too bad they didn't make
Yeah.
a stipulation that it couldn't be, nothing could be happened to it, because it was,
No, it was a Sears Roebuck house.
Yeah,
It came out on the train. Yeah,
really, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
just like mine.
yeah, like Joyce's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I hate to leave a good company.
I know,
because-
right, you said that y'all had to
I
leave.
know, I gotta go back to work.
You have to be in
You
late.
think we're okay?
Yes, we're fine.
We're fine. We got plenty.
Yeah.
Okay.